Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show where I talk about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Tulsa King. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So Dwight's in New York for his brother's funeral, and it's not the reception he went into it knowing like he wasn't going to have the greatest reception when it came to Tina. It's like, right, you've been out of her life for 18 years and she's lived so much of that life without you. And that's something I kind of brought up last episode where it's like, right, he found out from Manny, it's like, what was the point of me doing everything I did? The end result is I went away. They tried to have me popped in prison because they didn't think I could keep my mouth shut for the 25 years, which I did. No complaints. I held it down. I did it because, hey, I felt like I was, it's that thing of the family, your blood family, and the ties and, your loyalties to the mob family that he was part of. And it's like, it wasn't even worth it in the end because I missed out on so much. The time between him and his brother hadn't spoken in like 2 decades. That's gone. There's no like fully mending those fences. There's no setting back the clock in so many regards because Tina, like the rest of the family's kind of, hey, Dwight, Emery, Tina's husband's like, oh, cool. I mean, I don't know you. You're like a stranger to me. We have like a brief conversation and Dwight doesn't get to even hear about, everything from Tina. He gets to hear about it from his sister Jo, being like, yeah, well, Tina did this. She married a guy who adores her. They live in a house bigger than what we grew up in. You got 2 grandchildren. You got twins, And he wanted to say something at mass, but Jo was like, I guess it's like, right, we don't want to take the chance you might go up there, might get out of pocket or something. But later on, he says it to Jo's widow, like, he ends up leaving a voicemail being like, hey, this is what I was going to say. I should have said something, but I didn't because he was told not to. Because also it's like, right, if he gets up there and talks, it's just going to take away from Jo. Like, I think that's the thing. Like, you sit down, you kind of fade into the background a little bit because this is about Jo, this ain't about you type of thing. So... And it was this beautiful speech about like, him talking about who his brother was. It's like, right, my brother did, and those last line, he wouldn't be the one to show off. He would show up. I was like, I thought that was really beautiful, And, I mean, it really guts him that like, right, he's talking to Tina because he knew like things weren't going to work out like I brought up earlier, but it was actually Stacy that was like, nah, keep at it. He's like, oh, you actually think it works? She's like, fuck, do I actually know? But at the end of the day, I mean, you might not be able to rewind time, but he's hoping that, hey, maybe we can move past this and stuff like that. But it's like, it's 18 years of resentment. That's not going to disappear overnight, especially for her, where it's like, right, that time in my life when I needed you, I could call on everyone else. Mom, my uncles, my aunts, like they were there for me when you weren't. The fact of the matter is mom struggled to get by without you. And, because she also found out, like, right, why are you in Oklahoma? It's like, right, because I can't escape my line of business. And for her, it's like, right, you haven't learned. Nothing's changed, I mean, Dwight's learned quite a bit about it in his time out. He's learned more specifically that it wasn't worth going away for those 25 years. Also, let's not forget, he went away for something he didn't do. He took the fall for Chicky's dad, so it's just like, it just sucks. And so Dwight ends up finding out, though, that Nico, who he had just talked to at the hospital earlier, is like, oh, Nico, like, we're good, blah, 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 blah. Turns out Nico snuck in and raped his daughter at one point in time, and she's telling him to let it go. She didn't want to think about it, so it happened probably a while back. And it's like, these are people who are still having ties to your family. But I guess, like, with Dwight up in prison, like, they had no reason to be around. But it's like, right, that happened while he was gone. And that was the most infuriating thing for him. It's like, he went to go talk to Chicky's dad. It's like, where are Nico and the others? Because he was fuming when he went to that hospital. Because she was like, promise me you won't do anything. And he's like, I promise. There's no way he was going to keep that promise after hearing that. But he talks to to Chicky's dad about like, right, I went away and I missed out on so much. And he's like, and then there's you. Because for him, it's like, did you know about Nico? And it seems like he didn't. That still leaves open the whole thing of like, yeah, the guy I killed in prison kind of got in trouble for that whole shtick. You were like trying to kill me. Or maybe it wasn't him specifically. Maybe that was like a chicky decision or something, and he just never told his dad. I'm assuming that order had to come from like high up. Like the fact is Dwight never said anything at that time, because it's like, right, he wasn't concerned about it. It's like, whatever our issues is, fuck it, I don't care. This is about Nico and him doing anything to my daughter. So Dwight found his ass and beat the shit out of him. Rightfully so. Once again, I get it, like the difference between vigilante justice. Once again, it's a mob show, so you're just like, nah, you go ahead and do your vigilante justice. Fucked him up, burned his face on a plate, smashing his face into shit, choking him out with like the fucking cord. And it's like, where you gonna go with him? And then just like stomped his ass out with, I'm like, yo! You hear the squishing, you see the puddle blood. He's like, now y'all clean it up, and bounce. It's like, yo, that's kind of now there's the other dude who had Vince, who had so much beef with him. Is like, yeah, you didn't say a goddamn thing, then did you? You just stood there. You and the others did, because Chicky was making that whole thing of like, yo, when I tell you to come here, I said come here. It's like, for one, fuck you. It's his brother's funeral. I get it, but it's like, no. This is the family you're supposed to come and say. Shut the fuck up. Just in that moment, after he did what he did, none of you said a goddamn thing. You just stood there as he walked away, because you were reminded in that moment, oh, this is an OG. You don't fuck with him, because they got in their misguided head like, yo, like you gonna fall in line. It's like, nah, fuck that. When it comes to my daughter, I'm not falling in line for you, especially not anymore when I've lost so much because of that, you know? Especially because he told him, it's like, hey, you were supposed to protect my wife. You're supposed to protect my daughter. I don't know if it was like a thing of you were supposed to financially look after them too. I'm supposing that, because that's the cliche of like, yo, you do this time, we take care of your family. That's supposed to be how that rolls. And it was like, they weren't taken care of like they were supposed to be. In fact, Nico did what he did. And he, it was probably some years later, but he got what he deserved. It's not like Tina's going to probably like, she told her dad not to do it. But at the end of the day, I think it doesn't erase what he did, but you hope on some level it does make her feel at least some solace knowing that he's 6 feet under now, that her dad kicked his shit in before dealing the final blow. So all the while this is going down in New York, shit is popping off in Oklahoma, because the Black McAdams, the leader of it's like, yo, because the cops are his bitch. Because even Stacy was like, yeah, they're a lot more dangerous than you should think. And he's like, what do you mean? And she's like, I don't want to talk about it over a phone. I'm like, oh, I guess they have like very deep pockets. At the very least, they got the locals in their pockets. So I guess it's like there's always a chance some like higher ups in the police food chain might actually be in his pocket too. So that's probably why she was like, yeah, let's not have this conversation, because Tyson ended up getting railroaded by the cops. And then he's like, bro, this isn't even my car. You found that weed in. It's like, oh, so you're saying you stole it. It's like, you putting words in my mouth, mother. Like Tyson knew, like he knew what time it was immediately. He's like, all right, here it is. And the guy was like, show both hands. He's like, you asked me for my license and the registration, motherfucker. It's like, it's in the glove. I gotta get it. I was like, yo, that is some shit that will get you shot for. Damn, that's so fucked. Either way, he's locked up. He tried to call, Dwight, went to voicemail. He's like, I wanted another call. They wouldn't let that happen. They took his money. They took his cell phone, because they used that to get to Bodie. And so now they're like, oh, so Bodie, like, what's your connection to this Dwight guy? Well, he's extortion. It's like, oh, extortion's your game. It's like, no, he's extorting us. So it's like, cool, you're going to send the message. Sends him over to Mitch's place, which the police are like, yo, you gotta talk to you. But Mitch is like, well, fuck you. This is on, I guess, like, it falls under, like, where his bar is built is, like, it falls on Cherokee land. So he's like, you guys literally have no, like, authority here, so go fuck yourself. So I was like, okay. So Bodie lucked out on that. I thought that was going to end nasty for Bodie. I mean, shit, there's already going to be blowback, because let's not forget who rolled up with them last episode too. That's Tyson's dad. So once again, like, all they have to do is like track him down, and they can blow up his spot if they want to, his parents' house, I mean, yeah, he might have moved out. Like, he says he's got his own crib when he's talking to someone. I guess it's like one of his, I don't know if it's like a girlfriend or just someone like he talks to, he's on a sweet talk into being his girlfriend or whatever, but, yeah, you just like, man, that's gonna, you can tell, like, it's just, yeah, the moment Dwight leaves is when shit pops off. I mean, it was his suggestion to kind of take a bat and to beat the living shit out of everyone last episode, but it's still like yeah, you're not here having to deal with this. You left your squad without their commander, you know? And obviously, Manny Armand is, you know, kind of gets the heads up at his job because the lady was joking and he was like, no, what? Yeah, that was me, but what were you talking about all that? It's like, oh, those people are dangerous. You might want to Google them and see if it's actually Joe. And Manny Googles them and is like, well, fuck me. He probably thought like, oh, these some punks. Cause he's like, right. He's like, I've dealt with killers and stuff. Oh, cool. These guys are super hardcore. These guys are pretty much like my people. The very people I was getting away from because I was scared of getting popped. These are the very same people. Cool. And we pissed them off. Cool. And because they do have, Tyson's phone, they probably have, I don't know if they have everyone's contacts. They definitely have Dwight and Bodie. So it's like, right. And now they obviously know there's a connection to Mitchell. They'll cut that back because all they have to do is like any of their guys that got their asses whooped. All you had to be like, what's a guy look like? I'm sure also like, once again, you got cops in your pocket. So, he probably, the leader of it most likely can just get police to like run down people. So it's like, cool. You thought you had to be worried. Armand thought he had to be worried about Dwight. Now he's got a whole other issue. In fact, trying to be good with Dwight, helping him out because, well, you kind of owe him now, is going to put your life in danger yet again. So I don't know, man. That's going, and especially because it's like, right, you got that. Plus you're still worried about the whole Chicky thing, which Chicky and them don't know you're in Tulsa. Once again, it seems like it is pure coincidence. That you happen to be sitting there, so that's a complicated mess, dude. Everything in New York, everything back in Oklahoma, it's like, dude, there's issues on all fronts. And whether or not, because Dwight is going to try and, I think, make peace with his daughter, so he probably wants to stay in New York a little bit longer. But it's like, yeah, there are fires back in Oklahoma you need to put out first, because shit is kind of getting really, really bad. You know, I mean, it hasn't gotten really, really bad. It's just gotten bad, but I can see things escalating to be more and more of an issue. So how that plays out, what that looks like, we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, like, man, it's so wild when I look at the runtime for these episodes. Like, man, it kind of, like, I guess, I mean, this one was like, what, 36 minutes? Probably knock off like a minute and a half for, like, the title sequence and stuff like that. So I'd say probably more like, 34 minutes in totality. It's like, man, these episodes are quite, you'd expect these, because I'm trying to think, like, I've never seen Yellowstone, so I don't know if its episode times, like, vary this much. I've just been noticing more and more episodes. Like, these episodes are, like, sub 40 minutes, which is interesting. To my recollection, I don't think there were many episodes of Mayor of Kingstown that were like that. I could have sworn they were all decently long, maybe, like, 40-ish minutes, you know? Like typical, but like them being below 40 is really interesting. So, but I mean, it's like, right, I guess it's like, you're not going to be so adherent to like a typical, I guess because it is a streaming show, like I think they probably are a little more lax on the structure and length of episodes, like, cause those can kind of vary sometimes, not like to large extent. It's a whole conversation in itself. So, but, I'm very, very excited to see where the hell the next episode takes us going forward with all of this. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.